So good evening again for the second time, everyone, and welcome to another online forum with Untitled Scotland. It's great to have you all here, and huge thanks to our speaker this evening, who is Ciaran Whelan, who is an ESOL practitioner at Fife Council. Ciaran joins us this evening to talk about using citizen literacy and the Citizen Literacy App with ESOL learners. So a huge thank you to Ciaran for joining us this evening. I really appreciate you giving up your time and showing us some of the practice that you're using in your ESOL classrooms. It's really fantastic. Ciaran has said that he doesn't mind if you want to interrupt and ask questions as we go through this evening, which you can do in whatever way you want to, hands up, shout out, or you can use the chat box, which I will monitor. So with thanks again, let's head over to Ciaran, and Ciaran will take us through his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Pauline. Yeah, thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll just share the screen now. Okay, so can you all see that there? Yep, thumbs up, you can all hear me. Okay, great. So yeah, this evening's presentation is citizen literacy and the Citizen Literacy App. And keen-eyed viewers there will notice, yep, that screenshot does have a pair of pants right there in the middle of it. All right. So who am I? Yep, my name's Ciaran. I'm an ESOL group tutor with Fife Council based in Kirkcaldy, and I develop, plan, deliver English language learning materials, lessons and activities with my colleagues there. We do initial assessment, learner needs, tailored learning plans. I also supervise ESOL volunteers, signpost learners to where they may receive further support, and work with the wider CLD, Community Learning and Development team, and partner agencies to develop and deliver short courses to meet specific learner needs. And I've put my email address there if anyone wishes to email me after. So this evening's presentation, we'll look at the Citizen Literacies App as a teaching and learning tool for ESOL tutors and learners. But we'll see that it won't just be for ESOL tutors, it'll be for pretty much anybody who's in a teaching or tutoring or ESOL volunteering capacity, who's looking for tools to get into supporting literacies learners. So hopefully you'll get a full overview of the app, what it is, how it's structured, the approach it uses to teach literacies and why. I'll demo the app before discussing my experience of using it with adult literacies learners up to this week, and how it's helped me and the learners and the pros and cons as I see it of using the app. And then if we've got a little bit of time, and if you want to, we can then discuss and share suggestions and ideas on how we might utilize the app in our own different learning contexts as well, or in tandem with other tutor resources. Okay, and again, as Pauline was saying, if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure of, or even useful suggestions, just let me know. Okay, so just very briefly, before we look at the app itself, just in case you're not familiar with it, citizen literacy, who, what, why, and how. So citizen literacy, do you want to maybe just in the chat box just put your hands up if you've heard of them? Some of you may know the organizers of it very well. Yeah. All right. Okay. So yeah, it's not just the app. It's a community interest company and also a program. So they're wholly independent community interest company, a non-profit organization based and registered in Scotland. They work with partners worldwide to support adults with their reading and writing skills. They specialize in developing digital and paper-based learning resources to support learners and their teachers. I'm not a part of citizen literacy. I don't work with them or for them, so I won't be trying to sell you any of their products this evening. But I became aware of citizen literacy through a CPD session with Diane Gardner of Citizen Literacy, and I thought it was a fantastic presentation. And as soon as I started using the app, I realized, yep, it's a fantastic resource. So what's the Citizen Literacy Program? If we have a good idea of what the program is, it'll help us to understand very, very quickly what the app is and how it can help us. I won't go into it in too much detail, but just 1 or 2 slides here. So it's an adult literacy program supporting tutors to develop reading and writing skills of adults who can already speak and understand some English. Now, I've been using it with Afghan men who, when we started, had next to no English, maybe 1 or 2 words here, couldn't read or write in English at all, couldn't form letters, and one was illiterate in his own first language as well. So it can be used by ESOL tutors and others to develop reading and writing, speaking and listening skills in their low literacy level learners. And as I was saying, it's a program designed to be adopted, adapted, and delivered by others, not just tutors. So it's an integrated set of digital and paper learning resources to support tutors and their students. So you've got the tutor handbooks, the learner workbooks, you've got the tutor platform, and their words, not mine, the revolutionary citizen literacy learner web app, which is quite a mouthful, but I do actually agree with it. So that's what their program is. And if you go to, which we will in a few moments, when you go to the citizenliteracy.com website, it lays it out in more detail very, very well. So that's the who and the what. Why use citizen literacy? Well, the idea is that the program is intended to overcome what they call the serious lack of resources and support for those who seek to help adults improve their literacy skills. We're always finding in ESOL that maybe compared to other fields, we're maybe playing catch up in terms of resources, especially digital online resources. So it can be used by ESOL tutors to develop reading and writing skills in their students. And this is what I think might be relevant for some of us. It may be of use for secondary school students who are struggling with their reading or writing skills. So I'm teaching adults, but I'm also in regular contact with a lot of the refugees' teenagers as they're coming back to where they're staying, particularly the Afghan families, and their kids in primary and secondary school have very varying levels of literacy in English. Some of them are quite literate in their spoken English, but can't read or write in English. So I'm sure that whatever challenges ESOL tutors are facing with Afghan parents, teachers, primary, secondary school teachers will be grappling with similar problems for their children. What material do you give them if you've got kids coming into S1 or S2 or P7 and they've got no English, and you've never taught English as a second language before? Where do you start? Do you start with the ABC? What resources can you use for them? So that's why I'd also recommend this app and the program as well. So for primary and secondary school teachers who are interested in the use of structured phonics methods for teaching literacy, the Tutor's Handbook and free learner app, that's what we're going to look at, can provide a useful training and professional development resource with pointers to further readings. Even for those of us here this evening who are ESOL tutors, it's we'll see the app is just so well structured from the very basics that we're going to start teaching literacies learners right up to being able to hear and reproduce whole sentences, ability to write capital letters, lowercase letters, correct punctuation in a relatively short period of time, obviously depending on how much contact you have with the learners. So just very quickly, how it fits into the education landscape and then Scotland specifically. So this program helps to fill a major gap in current provision in terms of digital tools. If we think about if we're teaching learners whose first language isn't English, okay, we might have access to interactive whiteboards. We might have particular websites that have helped us over the pandemic, but what stuff is there specifically for literacies learners for ESOL? Okay, so it starts with a complete beginners and rapidly takes them to a good level of functional working literacy over 3 courses of 30 lessons each. Now the app doesn't have 3 courses yet. It has 2 units that have lessons in them. So Citizen Literacy are currently working on the 3 courses. So I'm going to focus on the app, not the tutor platform or the handbook with it. But hopefully it'll pique your interest. So the Citizen Literacy, the idea is that it simultaneously improves digital literacy and builds confidence. And the idea is that by the end of the first 2 lessons of the part 1 course, students are starting to read and write simple sentences. Now, maybe if I'm saying part 1 or first lesson 2, that doesn't really mean anything until we have a look at the app, and then it'll be fairly clear. It also chimes with UN Sustainable Development Goals in terms of quality education. So to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, which is also at the heart of what we're doing in ESOL. Okay. So in terms of Scotland, so the 3 citizen literacy courses are approximately equivalent to these Scottish Credit and Educational Qualifications Framework. So part 1 corresponds to SEQF level 2, part 2 to level 3, and part 3 to level 4. I have the luxury of not having to worry about putting the Afghan gentleman I'm working with through SQA examinations, but to know that what we're doing will correspond to one of those levels, it's good to know. And especially if you're a secondary teacher who's considering using these resources maybe to support their learners, having understood how busy they'll be in a normal working week. Okay, so before I go ahead, does anybody have any questions so far? The good news is that most of the jargon out of the way. No, does it? Yeah, Maria.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm Canadian, kind of, and you all probably, I sound funny, and I listen to your beautiful Scottish accent, which I simply love. My question is not related to languages and accents. It's just a comment that I would love to be able, or I would have loved to be able to use an app with my literacy learners. That was before COVID. I developed a program for literacy learners, how to teach them to use computers. So it was called computer access to literacy learners. That was a number of years back, but we never thought of turning it into an app. So I'm so curious to see how this helps literacy learners now that everybody knows how to use a smartphone and a tablet and a computer well before the we were even thinking about, the pandemic turning us into technocrats and so on and so forth. So I really look forward to learn more about this.
You'll probably find, Maria, that it's pleasantly simple. If it's so simple to use that even I'm using it and espousing its virtues. So I'll just share the screen. If you have your mobile phone with you, so we talked about an app,
Not
but
right now.
the first good thing is that it doesn't have to be downloaded. You can access it through the website.
Oh,
so there's nothing, you can download it if you want to, so it's offline. So I'll just share the screen again, and if you do Google search, you'll find a Citizen Literacy. Actually, why don't I just
I've just popped it in the chat, Ciaran. So I've chopped,
perfect.
Popped it in, sorry.
Or chopped. Okay. So if you can just get a thumbs up when you actually have it. You've got it there in front of you. And it should look something like this when you click on the actual app. Yeah, okay. Okay, so if we all have it more or less, we're all able to see it, I presume so. So yeah, the very first thing we see, it looks very basic, looks very straightforward, which it's designed to be. So you'll see Unit 1, you'll see Unit 2. And if you click on that, that is the home page. Okay, so it clicks on what I was looking at. So you've got Unit 1, you've got Unit 2, you have the settings wheel. That's quite useful. It has two functions here. It'll give you the option to restart the course if you've done some or most or all of the course and the computer has been saving progress. And then you can choose to restart the course and then use the app as a test, okay, for summative assessment. If you want to as well, you can just change. You have changed. Yeah. So if you've got learners who prefer that contrast as well, I know a couple of my learners, like me, need to wear glasses, so they might be squinting at it. Okay. So how does it work? If you click on Unit 1, now it says it calls these. I see them as it says units, but I see these 5 blocks here as units. If you click on them, you'll get anything from 8 to 25 to 27 activities. So for example, if I click on number 1, okay. So are you able to hear the computer voice also telling you? Yeah. All right. So if we just start at the beginning, I'm not going to go through each one, but I'll pick out a couple that I like and that I find are very instructive. So before you even click on it, you'll see that you've got the picture of the ear. Okay, there's going to be a listening. Now when you click on it, you think, oh, okay, is it reading or is it writing? It could be both, but let's click on it. All right. So if you're used to teaching ESOL, then you might be familiar with this bunch of letters, SATNIP, or in this case, MATSPIN. Instead of teaching English from ABC, we're picking 6 or 7 letters that are useful in terms of how frequently they appear in the English language and how easy it is to start constructing 1, 2, 3-letter words. So what do? If we can guess what we need to do, but we've also got that question mark there for forgetful tutors like me. Okay, what is this activity? Okay, so the computer voice is helpfully telling us what's going on. This is for the benefit of the tutor. Obviously, we don't expect the literacies learner to understand all that, but we would be pre-teaching words like tap, speaker, again. If we're still not sure, I'm not sure if it'll come up and play, but you also have very handy videos that are maybe telling us the same thing in a little bit more detail.
Ciaran, just so you know, we can't hear your, that's it.
Oh, okay, so we can't hear that if it's embedded, that's okay. So that's Diane Gardner telling us in more detail what that does. So if we just click on it. Okay, can we all hear that? No? Okay.
You need to check the sound box at the bottom when you go into share screen.
Yes, absolutely correct, which I thought I'd done before. That's why you're intimidating me, Maria, with your expertise. So yeah, we should be able to hear it now. Yeah.
A T S P I N.
So obviously the first.
That's it, you've tapped on all the letters. Tap the restart icon if you'd like to do the activity again. Or tap the moving icon at the bottom of the screen to move on to the next activity.
All right. So we can see that we're getting personalized feedback as well. So the computer says you can continue, well done. So you have a male voice and you have a female voice. Now, if you make a mistake, they'll say, nearly, not quite. So that's part of it as well. So as the tutor, you would pick out those words that are relevant, that the learners would need. But obviously it's no harm to expose them to more complex language, even if it's not the target language for that lesson. So that's where we start at for literacies. So you've got the arrows here that will take you to the next activity. So you don't have to jump back to the home page. Right. So guys, so if I do jump back, if you have them on your phones, can you go to
Lesson 1,
1.6? Now you don't have to unmute yourselves for this, but this is quite fun. So we've got the microphone icon here.
This is activity number 6 of lesson 1. Reading and speaking words. Once you've listened to Diane's video, tap the reading icon to display a word.
All right. So we've got the reading icon.
When you're ready, tap the microphone and say the word after the beep.
In. Okay. Now, maybe it's because we're screen sharing, but if you try it on your phones, if you go to 1.6, click on the reader icon, and whatever word randomly generates, see if that works for you, and then give us a thumbs up if it does. All right. So the good thing about this, the great thing about it, is that when you come back to it, it'll randomly generate words. So it's not like you've done it once and you can't use it again. It'll randomly generate the words. So you can come in and come back out of it. Right, can you just go to, if that's worked for you, again, if you've got any questions or if it doesn't seem to be working, jump in and tell me. Can you just skip to 1.7? All right. So this is where it gets
Use
fun.
your finger to trace over the word displayed on the notepad above. The letters spell the word in.
Okay, so yeah.
Once you've finished tracing the word, tap the glasses icon and I will tell you if it looks correct.
So yeah, on your screen.
Okay, go and give it a go.
Yeah, go and give it a go. So just on your screen, you trace it with your finger. I'm not using my phone, I'm using the mouse. So I'll give it a go with the mouse. That's not great, but I'm left-handed. So we've clicked on that and it generates the word. If we've really done badly, well, we've got the eraser. We can just click off that so the learners can try again. So if we try again, might make a slightly better attempt.
Excellent, you just wrote the word in. Tap the reader icon to display another word.
Yeah, so you can tap the reader icon to display another word. It will give you, if you'll see here, it'll give you 6 words, and then it's recording your progress. Now, just to see how structured this is, if you wouldn't mind just going to 1.8. Let's go to the next one along. So we had, for example, the word in. Where is the next level of challenge? So without even clicking on it, let's see what it's asking us to do.
The word I would like you to spell is the word in.
Okay.
Use your finger to write the word on the notepad above.
So what?
Once you've finished writing the word, tap the glasses icon and I will tell you if it looks correct.
So what's the extra
You
level
can
of
always
challenge
tap the
here?
eraser icon if you want to start again.
The last time we
Okay, go and give it a go.
had the tracing outline. Now we don't. So I've written worse.
Excellent, you just wrote the word in. Tap the reader icon to display another word.
Okay. So did you try that? So you'll find as I'm talking, the computer voice is giving you feedback, or maybe it's reminding you of what we have to do in it. So maybe some of us might find there's maybe a little too much chat from the computer going on. Other tutors might find, oh, this is actually really, really useful, that it's embedding learning. And so if we just go to the next, I'm not going to go through all of these, but can you go to the very next one? Can you skip through to 1.9, please? Okay. So we can probably guess what the next element of challenge is, what the next step up is. The learners are going to hear it. It's not going to be written down for them.
Ah.
Ah. I think that's what I heard. Sometimes they say ah, and sometimes they say ah. So it depends on their accent.
Excellent, now tap the ear again to hear the next sound.
Okay.
T.
T.
Excellent, you just spell the sounds to make the word at. Tap the ear icon to hear the first sound of the next word.
I.
Okay. So I think I hear eh, like a lot of the Afghan learners.
No, that's not looking like the letter for the sound. Tap the ear icon and try again.
Yeah, so the first word you hear is no, that's not the letter. You don't get a ding like you're on Duolingo. You get no, try that again. All right. So I just stop that share for a moment. So we can see from lesson 1.1 or activity 1, where we're starting off with a couple of letters of the alphabet, and then we're going through activity 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. We've got an element of speaking, and then, and even if it's just a letter, so we're forming the letter. Okay, we've got the scaffold, we can trace it with our fingers, and I find that getting the learner even just to trace the letter in the air with their finger is so helpful. And then when they've actually got it on the app or the computer, it really helps their precision. Also helps them to kind of realize that there are so many different ways of writing a letter in English. We take it for granted just how many different fonts we use or recognize during the day. So that really helps them with that as well, that they're reading English typeface. So I'll just go back to the presentation just for a moment. So we've already had an idea of what the app is. That's just the first thing I wanted to show you. So yeah, so it's not just phonics. It takes a systematic approach to teaching adults to read and write in English. What's being developed? These are the skills the Citizens Literacy App seeks to develop. Okay, phonics, blending and breaking down. So if we've got the word, for example, pig, so p-i-g, p-i-g. So you get short, simple words, we break them down. So phonological awareness, that we're learning the letter A. So we're learning the name of the letter, but that it usually corresponds to A or A. Grapheme correspondence, very fancy way of saying sound spelling combinations, so that if you write it this way, it corresponds to this sound. Reading, spelling, listening, writing, speaking. And we've already seen an example of that between activity 1.7, 8, and 9. Alphabetical awareness. So yes, the app, it doesn't start off with A, B, C, D, but it does incorporate it. And by the end of the 2 units, if you go through them, your learners will have a very clear understanding of the order of the alphabet, and they will be tested in it. Comprehension, composition, narrative. For example, can you understand yes/no questions? There'll be activities with composition, word order. So the words are jumbled. Can you put them in the right order? Can you put the question mark in the right place? And testing grammar as well. So we looked at the beginning of it, and we'll just go back and have a look at where we are if we get closer to the end of the app. So can you, on your app, can you go to, so if we go out of, I won't talk you through it because you'll find it yourselves, it's fairly easy. So if you go back out of unit 1 and go into unit 2, okay. So if we're all in unit 2, can you find for 17? So in unit 1, in unit 2, oh no, it's on unit 4. Be unit. No, sorry, go back. There's something else I wanted to show you that I think would be a little bit more fun. Can we go back into unit 1 and go to lesson 4? And can you go to scroll down to number 17, please? Maybe I like this because I'm a football fan, but learners seem to enjoy this one as well. Okay. So we'll just share the screen again. So you should be looking at the same thing as me. I have 3 Afghan Muslim gentlemen who definitely do not go to the pub, but they enjoy doing the exercise anyway. They have no interest in football. They all enjoy cricket. They enjoy doing the exercise anyway. But this is something that teenagers and adults could enjoy as well. There's a nice mix of different activities. A lot of literacies activities in ESOL are aimed at children, understandably enough, but the format of this works well for adults. So what do we have to do here? Might not be clear initially. So again, just click on the question mark if we're not sure.
This is activity 17 of lesson 4. If you haven't already listened to Diane, tap the video icon. Otherwise, tap on any of the sentences listed above to start playing. After you have tapped on a sentence, Jude will let you know what to do next.
Okay. So we could probably guess what we need to do here. It's a type of multiple matching exercise. Are the learners able to spot the differences in spelling between 3 different words that have the same pronunciation? 2, 2, 2. And can we match them? So if we click on the first.
To score a matching pair, tap on the sentence in the list below which matches this sentence. I go to the pub. You just netted your first pair of sentences. I go to the pub. Tap on another sentence from the list to have another shot.
I do enjoy the juxtaposition of yay and yes, you have scored a goal. Well done. So sometimes the computer voice can be very, very, very dry.
To net your second pair of sentences, tap on the match below for this sentence. There are 2 apples in the shop.
Okay.
You just bagged another pair of sentences. There are 2 apples in the shop. You're on for a hat-trick here. Tap on another sentence from the list for your last shot.
So we get the idea from, we were looking at activities in lesson 1 that are at a certain level. Now we've gone on to lesson 4, activity 17. Okay, the activity itself, you're matching the highlighted words, but we're also exposing the learners to complete sentences as well. So it's not just matching the word, can they quickly identify those patterns that are matching? Okay, is that okay so far? So of course I'm only cherry picking an activity here, an activity there, but hopefully that's giving us an idea of how it functions and how we can use it. I think it's pretty cool and pretty fun that you can trace the letters on it. You get instant feedback. You've got the mix of skills. What I enjoy about it is that the course is already structured. What we see on the app now, that's not the finished version because Citizen Literacies, they're planning to keep expanding it, but that's the start. That's the basis for literacies learners. If I can go back to presentation for a moment. Okay, so benefits of the app. So this is free to use, doesn't require user registration, has no adverts, no in-app purchases, takes no personal data. So the way we all access it just now, that's how you access it the whole time. So as I was saying before, the design avoids looking like a children's learning resource, so which is a strongly demotivating factor for older learners as well. Many adults with poor literacy own a smartphone, and this provides a learning opportunity. Absolutely. It isn't necessary to download. You can access the resources on the web page. I don't think any of us downloaded it. We just went straight to the web page. Okay. So other benefits: multimedia interactivity, gameplay, voice, handwriting recognition, and instant personalized feedback, sometimes in a disembodied voice, but always useful English. So it enables some of the first online independent learning opportunities for low literacy learners. And as we were looking at lesson 1, activity 1, math spin, those 7 first letters of the English alphabet we're being exposed to from a standing start. At the end of lesson 2, learners are beginning to read and write simple sentences. Plugs a gap in the current support for adult literacy learners and their teachers in their use of new digital technologies, and enables those adults to learn more autonomously and effectively by using their smartphones. And that has been my experience with the I'm teaching 3 Afghan gentlemen consistently. 2 of them will pop in and out of the app, of the website. The 3rd learner is a little bit more hesitant. He's not so confident in using his mobile phone in Dari anyway. So it's not for everybody, and of course you do have to differentiate even using this as a tool. Okay. So I'll just give you, just check the time. Yeah, so I'll just very quick go through my experience of using the app, and then I'll open it up to you guys just to see what you think of it. And I'll just give you 1 or 2 more examples of how the app works. So for me, it was fun, effective, efficient, and portable. Nice not to have to log lots of photocopies, this material, that material, especially if you're going to meet newly or recently arrived refugees, folks who may still be in bridging centers or waiting to be housed. Saved a lot of time and effort in preparation and delivery because it's already structured. Once I'd become familiar with it, the structure of it, then it's already there. It loads very, very quickly. There's minimum prep for it. So again, it's interactive. The learners really enjoyed and engaged with it. Of course, you're using it in tandem. You have it as a tool, but they should have their paper and pen or pencil and paper with them, that they're keeping a record of it. That you say, okay, you can use it on your phone. Okay, physically write it down as well. Yeah, the 4 skills are developed, from sounds to letters to words to sentences. Easy for the tutor and learners to navigate. If you go back and think of what it looks like when we open it up the first time, it seems almost too basic. It almost seems ugly. You have unit 1, then you have unit 2, but the whole idea is that you and the learners can see it's a drop-down menu. Maybe learners whose first language is not English might get confused if stuff is laid out left to right. Do I read it right to left? Do I read it left to right? Some languages don't use don't use Roman numerals, but they won't use 1 to 10 like the English language and Western languages use it. So easy for tutor and learners to navigate. And as I was saying before, logical, structured, systematic progression. When we looked at the example of forming the word in from activity 1.7 to 1.8 to 1.9, you had that increasing level of challenge from a scaffolded exercise to let's see if they can create this independently. as well. So there are the positives, and it's very much positive. It's important to be able to use it in conjunction with other materials and activities. Why? Because I'm terrible for keeping my mobile phone charged, and sometimes you don't have signal. What if you don't have the internet? So it's not a foolproof system. Sometimes I use it with just you know, the little board game Boggle. So you have the physical letters there. So they're using the app, but then they can, okay, can you physically find those letters? Can you form those words? And then it's also something tangible. Of course, with this app, Citizen Literacy have their own resources that you can access in tandem with it, that you have to pay for. I find that there's already so much you can use with the app as well. And of course, you can jump in and out of any activities you want, but it's structured in such a way that if you just go through it as slowly or as quickly as you need to with learners through Unit 1, through Unit 2, it's a fantastic resource. And as I was saying, some literacies learners may be hesitant to use their devices in English. Even if you just send a link to their own international phone number, might still be hesitant. The app's checking of learners' writing, not always perfect. There's some imperfections there. It may not always differentiate between the letter A and the letter O, but that could also be my shocking handwriting that very few computers would be able to decipher. And some tutors and teachers may find the voice instructions and feedback a little ponderous or interrupting. You probably found that I was trying to explain something and then the voice came in and explained what I was trying to explain as well. So you might find that after a while, the same format might begin to grate, but I think overall it's a plus because you have that structure, you know what to expect, the learner knows what to expect. And again, most of us might be here with our ESOL tutor heads on, but we could show this and maybe demo this in 10 or 15 minutes to an ESOL volunteer, or maybe someone who's maybe a teaching assistant might show this to the class teacher and think, okay, is this something I could use on the side of the class with this learner who's still at literacies level in English? So it's trying to open up through a digital platform literacies support for others. Okay. So if there's maybe one takeaway, what does this app offer? A structured and integrated blend of phonics, grammar, alphabet awareness, and punctuation for adults just starting out in literacies learning. So structured, integrated, phonics, grammar, alphabet awareness, which sounds very good if you're an ESOL tutor wondering where to start with new literacies learners. So I've only looked at maybe 4 or 5 different activities out of well over 100. So if you go through it yourself, you'll find stuff that you'll enjoy. You'll find stuff that you could just pick out with a class that you're maybe already teaching or learners you're already supporting. It doesn't need to be a new group of literacies learners. So I'm just curious to see what you guys think, if you don't mind unmuting. So what about your learning contexts? What situation are you in? Or do you think you could utilize the app in your space own learning context or in tandem with other tutor resources? Or if you've any other questions.
Maria.
Yeah, Maria.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take over this presentation, but it's it's a tool that represents some of the skills that I've tried to teach my literacy learners for a long time, and it didn't really work. The fact that they can actually do it at their own pace, and they can do it on their mobile devices, makes it so much easier. The computer lessons that I prepared were done exclusively on the computer. They were done just for the computer or laptop. We tried to implement it on a tablet. It did not work because of whatever tech issues, but this one seems to be easy to use. And just like you mentioned, it's not childish looking, because I had older female learners who loved it because they would take them home and read with their grandchildren, but then the male learners were not impressed.
Right.
So having something that looks easy, just like a child's play, but made for adults, makes a big difference.
I think so. I think so. And maybe the fact that if you have a jotter that you're using learning English or learning another language, it's very easy just to leave it in your bag or leave it in a drawer. But if as adults we're using our mobile phones all the time, and you know that you've got that resource there, you have that Citizen Literacy app, you can just click on it and just play around with it. It's fairly self-explanatory. You're looking at it, it's clear, it's basic. The presentation is simplified for a very good reason.
So if I may ask just one question about writing. So all the writing is done by tracing with the finger on the screen of the mobile device. How does that help or affect their fine motor skills when they go from the app to the paper?
I find it really does help, but I use it alongside repetition of the movement, so that you get them to trace it, and then you'd maybe do I find you do exercise maybe 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, and then you go back, and I would just get them to, before they even pick up their pen, trace it in the air. I would demo it. I would repeat the movement maybe 5 times or even 10 times till they can picture it. Okay, then I get them to trace it in the air 5 or 10 times before they even pick up the pen or pencil. Then when they try it, they've got that clear idea, and the repetition has already kind of saved a bit of development time. So it does help. It does help. They also enjoy just that. They really get into it, and they go, no. They're erasing it. So sometimes it ends up taking more time than it should, because they're getting competitive about their letter formation.
Anyone have any other thoughts or want to ask Ciaran any questions?
Thanks, Sue. Yeah.
I was just going to say, you were asking about our context. I mean, I've looked at it before and then I've completely forgotten about it. And I can see me using it in the college classes, ESOL classes, but also with my beginners group in community. In class, and also as, suggestions for their own self-study. I wondered, in the tutor's notes, is there an index of what is covered in each, or do you have to work your own way through it to kind of get an idea of the progression?
Yeah, I work my own way through it, to be honest, and I've just made my own notes. I think it's there when you, I think it might be, the index might be behind the paywall. I think. So, yeah. And but it would be possible
it would be possible to get one. Yeah. No, I think it's a really, really, really good app and resource for all sorts of students and differentiation, and
yeah, and that might be another drawback, in that on the one hand I'm saying, okay, it's the layout is quite nice and simple, and all you have is numbers, but then all you have is numbers as well. So if you're looking for something specific, you're looking for that specific exercise, and all you see is icons. So you have to, you do have to go in and out of it if you don't have the index there.
Yeah. Yes, it's good. Thank you. That was really useful.
Yeah.
What can I just say? Yeah, put my hand up.
Yeah.
Just it was really useful. A bit like Sue. I've looked at it previously. I don't teach literacies myself, but my colleague was kind of looking at it, and it's been really useful to see this, because what I'm going to be doing, I think on Wednesdays, cascading to the people who do teach our sort of literacies. Well, we call them beginners pre-elementaries. But I think what I'm taking away from this, it will depend very, very much on how the teacher tutor sets this up, because I think it really takes a bit of digging in to make sure they're all very aware of what the icons mean. And I love that bit with they can write on the mobile, you know, to get, I think that will really capture, and the ones with the goals as well, some of our younger, the young men that we've got, you know, sort of 18, 19, I think they would really like that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I officially put my hand up there, but I just wanted to add on to the end of that, Sheena, that they have created learner workbooks to go alongside the app. So if you wanted a paper resource, I just had a look, because I know that Diane told me they were on Amazon. So a learner workbook's about £12, and I just had a quick, you know, on Amazon it shows you, like, look inside the book, and it shows you the icons. So there is a paper resource there that we could use with ESOL learners right at the beginning to sort of embed the knowledge of what all of the little symbols might mean, which is quite a classic ESOL way to do it, isn't it? Get a nice little picture and attach the English word to it. So it's maybe worth having a little look at that. But I agree. I think whoever would deliver it or use it with learners probably would have to think about how they're going to structure it, and it has to be a bit of pre-teaching, I think, before.
Absolutely.
But I agree then that once you've done that, it's not an onerous task, I don't think, to pre-teach the ins and outs of the app. It would be probably quite useful. I mean, I could see it being, depending on what your literacy class is like, it being quite a main focus in a class, or an added extra in a class, depending on the makeup of your class. So very interesting.
Yeah, I'm conscious of the time, guys, and that it is Monday evening. And but if no one else has any thoughts or questions, I'm happy to say thank you for your attention and your interest, and I'll hand back to Pauline.
Yeah. Anyone have any last any questions or any thoughts before we finish off?
No, just thank you very much. That's really interesting and very, very useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ciaran, I think you've definitely given us all a lot of food for thought, which is great, which is exactly what an online forum is designed to do. As I say, look on Amazon if you want to look at the paper resources and explore that website. There's quite a lot. Just as Ciaran was speaking, I was going in and out of the website. You know, they're still finalising the tutor platform. They've got a whole sort of mapping index about what they hope the tutor platform will offer you, because the tutor platform is a paid for resource. So it's that you can pay like a small monthly subscription or an annual subscription, but it allows you to sort of mark progress and have, like, as Sue was asking earlier, like the index to how it works and what everything, or where everything is. So it's definitely, and as far as I know, the project is by no means at an end. They're currently still developing and working on resources. So I can only see that it would potentially get bigger in the future. So plenty there to think about. So yes, as Ciaran quite rightly pointed out, it is Monday evening. It is 8 o'clock. I can hear the fire on in the room next door. So it's definitely time for me to go and get tucked in. But thank you so much for joining us this evening. A huge thank you to Ciaran. That was really, really informative and very helpful. And hopefully we'll see you all at another NTECLA Scotland event very soon. Take care, everyone. Thanks again, and good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night,
everyone. Good night. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.